What is up, YouTube? M40 here. We have mid-event discussion for today, as we have YCS Ghent happening over in the UK, and in America and Canada we have YCS Niagara Falls. Basically, it's the America's YCS. But little interesting discrepancies we've kind of seen come out of these events. Some more interesting things to kind of come out of this weekend, also worth noting. So let's dig on into what's going on at these YCSs, shall we? So, YCS weekend, I love these double headers. They're probably the most interesting things that we get the chance to see. But with these events, we got the chance to kind of see a little bit of our more early metagame breakdown for round one. And one of the things that we saw coming out of Europe's YCS this weekend, I don't know really much we've got coming out of the Americas, but the thing that we do know is the representation in Europe was massive Sky Striker. Now, that being said, you've also got huge Lunalite Orcus representation over across the pond as well, which brings up a couple questions. One, is Sky Striker going to get hit on the next ban list? Looking at the way that these lists are constructed, and recently, Sky Striker's become budget, with the third reprint of Engage coming off the Megatons now, it goes to pose the question of, is this going to be an indicator? When you have high representation coming on an event like this, it definitely poses a couple questions of, is this deck too accessible to the player base? Has this deck become too much of a problem at this point? And when you look at those questions, you might find yourself in an interesting predicament, at least for that. And Lunalite Orcus, this is definitely more of a European special at this point. The not once per turn functionality on all the Lunalite cards, also the fact that Kaleido Chick sends as cost, is pretty BS in my personal opinion, but I digress. That's just the insanity that you get with it, plus you get to build the whole Orcus board and just OTK your opponent. And the deck can go first. Honestly, the deck's capability of going first or second in terms of whatever mode it actually desires is actually what makes the deck, I guess, a scary threat. But your two biggest noteworthy things coming out of at least the European YCS, those Lunalite Orcus decks, and of course the high Sky Striker representation. Now, when you kind of come over to the American YCS, we saw one very big thing kind of touch us very wrongly, and it was, we have high representation for going second Orcust at the moment. Now, that's very, very, very much in line with the Lunalite Orcust, because the deck can go first or second, but looking at generalized metagame strategies from one area to the next, you see more of a dedication to Orcust than really anything else in America. And it's kind of strange that America started just building this massive any two monsters is full Orcus combo. Like, we've also seen the meme, we understand, and even in our competitive play at the moment, it's really starting to show that this might be an issue come next ban list. I think that's the most interesting part about this. While the OCG didn't touch Orcus because they're not doing much, meanwhile over here in our format, we're just massively abusing these cards. It's almost kind of crazy what you're actually seeing out of this. So on our side of the format, it's looking like there's a whole bunch going second Orcus players, and it's actually really nice seeing that the metagame is developed to going second deck at this point, outside of your standardized crumbling Empire that we've already seen. Now, with that being said, the most interesting things to come out of this weekend that we've seen so far, the Konami blog gave us a feature match on Buster Bladerlock, and this is incredible. I'm not gonna lie. Seeing Buster Bladerlock in today's format is very interesting. So here's how your Buster Bladerlock works. Alright, so you put the Buster Blader on the field, basically the fusion. You go ahead and you negate all of your opponent's dragon's effects. Then you put the Buster Whelp on it that says your opponent can't special summon from the extra deck. Congratulations, you've locked your opponent out of having the chance to play the game. And it's actually kind of crazy broken. And plus, everything that I've seen from this build, he's playing the Blackluster Soldier Chaos, which basically you can slap your Buster Blader into it and make your guy indestructible, which is pretty good. Plus, I'm also seeing Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, and other combo pieces from his deck as well. So pretty frightening to see that this deck is 6-1-1 at the end of round 8, which is pretty crazy to me, because Buster Blader Lock, it's very much a tier 3 deck in a lot of our metagame, and a lot of players will continuously push it under the rug and be like, no, there's just much better decks to play. And while I agree with that statement, you know, playing in an event where players might not be aware of what your deck does or just how simple the lock actually is, it's kind of crazy and detrimental to what actually could happen. So that definitely caught me by surprise. And then there was a feature match putting Mech Knight Invoked against True Draco Sky Striker. Now, first thing I want to say here is Mech Knight Invoked has been here. We've seen a lot of Mech Knight. Actually, we've seen 2 to 3 builds of Mech Knight actually doing well at regionals. One coming out of Catskill, one coming out of the North Carolina regional, and both were more, one was invoked, one was pure. But seeing that the column abuse of Mech Knights being kind of comboed up with the explosive OTK factor, or, you know, just using the World Legacy lock to control the opponent, the fantastic ways to abuse the format right there. And seeing that Mech Knight Invoked still is doing its thing right now, like, I think it's very good rogue players that are doing well with these decks, and that's a good thing. So there's that. But and we had this monstrosity across the table, which was Mech Knight, or True Draco Sky Striker. Now, only in my meme dreams have I heard about this deck. I originally saw the concept for this, and my friend was messing around with it. It was like a total meme, and we were just like, "What is this monstrosity?" He's like, "Oh, trust me, it'll work." Well, that's not always the case, but it actually can do the thing. So here's your breakdown that I was handed, and this is basically how it goes. So set rotation gives yourself a diagram. By the way, got to open up a 1 of here. Basically, give the opponent area 0 diagram to pop the heritage. Add dynamite. Heritage pop the opponent's area 0, special summon Ray from the deck. Bada bing, bada boom, you're at 3 spells. It's your best case scenario. But here's the thing. Basically, with the True Draco cards, you're able to feed off of your opponent, basically loading you up for a free Ray, like best case scenario. Also, you get to rotate between your field spells, gaining access to everything. Plus, you've got free float abilities. Basically, we're using the Sky Striker engine as a toolbox to kind of feed our deck just a little bit more. So I don't want to destroy this idea too much, because I understand what they're going for. They're going through the constant. We have Widow Anchors. You know, we have True Draco Apocalypse, True King's Return for infinite disruption on the opponent. I get it. It's cute, but that just seems like a whole bunch of bad ideas combined into one deck. But hey, if it's working, it's working. So those were the big things that were brought to my attention in terms of, you know, rogue decks of the event. Now, going into Top Cut here, we understand that Sky Striker will be in super high representation. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. European YCS, you're probably going to see some sort of Lunalight or Cust making it in. I wouldn't be so far to even say in the American YCS that we're going to see a good, probably 2 to 3 Lunalight Orcust. I don't know. That deck is really good right now. But I haven't heard anything come, and this could just be fleeting ignorance at this point. I haven't heard anything about Cyber Dragon Orcust. This deck has been smashing so many regionals. This deck has been eating up the competition. Blair and Ed have been doing fantastic with this. Multiple back-to-back regional tops for Blair, and then, you know, Ed just started on his second one going into his third here. So it's interesting to see that things have been pretty quiet on that front, at least from what I haven't seen. So I would like to see Cyber Dragon Orcust get a YCS top. I think the deck deserves it. It's probably the hardest going second format counter that we actually have at the moment, and it's pretty insane. Outside of that, I'm curious to see what rogue will squeak into Top Cut. I think we could see Mech Knight Invoked very much at the Top Cut at one of these 2 YCSs, but outside of that, the way that this format is shaping up, it's still pretty much the same stuff, different day. You know, we're just kind of dressing it up, making it look a little bit more acceptable. So it's kind of how it works. But what do you guys think is going to end up winning either of these YCSs? We know it's probably going to be Sky Striker. Also, where my Pure Thunder players at? You guys got 1 win a while back and you just kind of fell off the face of the planet. I don't know what actually happened to you all, but where'd y'all go? Alright guys, that's all I got. Peace out. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a truffle shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out Vanquil40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.